Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for being here. So, as you can see, I'm at a different location. I had to find a quieter space in the house to record this because there's some neighborhood noise. And there's also background music to this video, so I hope you don't mind, just to mitigate whatever noise will be coming at me. Hopefully, there won't be any significant one. So much for that. In my previous video, the one I posted before this, I started talking about spiritual timelines. And in that video, we defined a spiritual timeline to be like these events in our lives or experiences where we align with based on our internal state. So there. Now, in this video, I would want to like fish out another definition for a spiritual timeline. Now, a spiritual timeline is also defined as a path that your life, my life, could take based on infinite possibilities. And as I also said earlier, I would be subdividing this topic into different areas so as to be able to delve into this more. So there. Now, from this definition, may I just focus on the words infinite possibilities. Now, have you ever heard the term multiverse or multiverse? Multiple universes, multiple realities, or multiple timelines. Yeah, you might be asking, but don't we live in just one universe? What is this crazy lady talking about? It's true that physically we are living in one universe. Let us also bear in mind the spiritual timelines would be referring to our internal state or our internal reality. So while we are living this reality, there might be other realities out there. Again, what is this lady talking about? So let me just continue convincing you. So there's a mosquito around. Okay, never mind. So I don't know if you've watched the movie Sliding Doors, which features Gwyneth Paltrow. So her character in there, at one point, is split into two. It's not that she has multiple personalities, but they showed a version of her who caught the train and one version of her who did not catch the train. And then they further showed what happened to the woman who caught the train versus the woman who did not catch the train. Okay, you might want to check on that movie if it catches your interest. Now there's also another movie that I could call to mind, The Kid. I think it's a Disney movie. It stars Bruce Willis, and in this movie, Bruce Willis, his character, meets with his younger self, well, physically, and they interact in there. And then toward the end of the movie, spoiler alert, both of them catch a glimpse of their future self living a certain life which they essentially chose. So there. Okay, so where am I going with this? Now, like I said, I have been interested in this topic for some time now, along with a lot of other topics. But when it comes to this, so I came across different videos also and different bits of information when it comes to this topic. Now, very recently, something that found me blew my mind. So it was a video on chrononauts. Now, what is chrononauts? Well, that was the first time, the time that I stumbled upon this one. That was the first time that I ever encountered the word. I know of astronauts, cosmonauts. Now, chrononauts. So there. Now, based on the word, chrono is a prefix which means time, not a suffix which means travel. So essentially, chrononauts are time travelers. Okay, but isn't that a myth? Isn't that just make believe? Now you decide. So it is said that chrononauts are children sent through time by the government, which was, and this project was called Project Pegasus. So I'm not making this up. You might actually want to search for the verification of this one. But then, okay, let me just start with Nikola Tesla. Now, Nikola Tesla is an actual person. For those who don't know, he is a scientist, a futurist, and also an inventor. So he's as brilliant as Einstein, who is also an actual person. So there. Now, Nikola Tesla was born on July 10, 1856, and he died on January 7, 1943. And he spent a lot of his time researching, studying a lot of things, mostly related to science. Now, the time he died, they found him in his hotel room. At the time he died, upon discovery of him, they found a lot of his notes, a huge bulk of his notes, boxes and boxes of notes. Now, among those notes, they found his study on the principles of teleportation. So there. Now, these notes or these documents have been classified for 25 years after his death until 1868. You do the math. When a team built a teleportation device and a chronovisor, what are these things? Now, a chronovisor is a device that is used to view a remote past or future event through projection of consciousness without physically traveling to them. So, in short, you could travel to the past. You could view a remote you could remote view a past or a future event without traveling to it. So that is what a chronovisor sort of records, or that is what it was invented for. Now, the teleportation device that was made or constructed consisted of two metal columns on either side, and in between there was a curtain of light. So there. Now, whoever would be time traveling would be passing through that curtain of light. Now, when they started conducting the study, they tried to consider sending adults to this teleportation device, or to send adults to the past, or for whatever space or point in time. But then they found out that adults were not psychologically built for this. Like whatever it took to teleport would mess with an adult's psychological makeup, and also they found out that the nervous system of an adult could not actually handle it, and so they tried to um like consider children, and children were more flexible in doing this. And so when they actually sent out people to do this, they sent out children, and from those children was a boy named Andrew Basiago. Okay, Andrew Basiago. Now he's older now. You could actually verify his identity and also his qualifications. At present, he is a lawyer, writer, a public speaker, and a former U.S. chrononaut. So that was placed in his under his qualifications. Now, the first time that Andrew or Andy was sent through the teleportation device, he was just 7 years old. So there. Now, the first date, or the first point in history that he was sent to was on November 19, 1863. Now, this is the date of the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln. So that was the first time he traveled, and then it was successful. And so he came back noting his observations. So he was allowed to actually bring a notebook so that he could record his observations as he keeps on being sent to different points in time in the past. So there, the same was conducted when it came to the other children that they sent also. But let's just concentrate on Andy at this time. So there. Now fast forward into the future. In 2012, Andy actually pointed pointed at the picture, an old picture, saying that that boy in the picture was him. So there. Okay, so I hope you're not too boggled at this point. There. Now, one of Andy's missions was to go back in time to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln in Ford's Theater. So the date of which was April 14, 1865. Now at this point he was 8 years old when he started traveling to this event in history. So there. Now what was fascinating was he was not sent to this to Abe Lincoln's assassination just one time. He was sent multiple times, a total of 6 times actually. Now it gets more and more interesting because at each visit, he notes that there were discrepancies in like the environment, in the circumstances that surrounded Abe Lincoln's assassination. So there. So let me just point out some. So in one visit, he said that the presidential box was decorated with 2 American flags. In another visit, it was decorated with 3 American flags with the picture of George Washington in the middle. And then there was also a time when Mary Todd Lincoln was in a dark dress versus another visit of his where she was in a purple dress. And then Abe Lincoln's assassin, J.W. Booth, at one point escaped through one point in the stage, and then another visit he escaped a different way. Now there was also a bystander who was present in 3 of his visits and was absent in the other 3 of his visits, and there were also some discrepancies like the positioning of the crowd or the number of people or who were the people who were present in the crowd, and so on and so forth. And then so he actually at the end of this mission asked the scientist, he asked, are you sending me to the same past every time, or are you sending me to a slightly different path on each trip? Now the scientist answers, that is the right question. So all throughout the project, when they sent these kids to different points in history and over, they found out the same pattern. So there were discrepancies every time, which led to the conclusion that the past actually consists of different parallel realities. And so too it follows that the present is comprised of infinite possibilities, parallel realities for like one human being. So there. So and then their conversation proceeded. So the scientist said the past has never been a single fixed line and the future has never been a single fixed line either. And he asks which one is real. The scientist answers all of them. Now the project ended in 1972. So there. So what does this show us? It actually, while I am making this video now, there might be a different version of me making the same video wearing a different set of clothes, or there might be a different me in a parallel universe or in a different timeline doing something else, or there might be another you doing something not exactly what you're doing at this point, but engaged in other activities, or maybe, well, I leave that to your imagination. So the question is, what do we do with this bit of information? Now that is a good question, and that would be for another video. So there, for now, I would just like you to sit with this this concept, this theory, yeah, I think you might need your own quiet time right now to absorb everything. So this is just me, Alfie, saying find your strength, find your peace, and stay with God, respect each other. Stay with God, whatever you conceive Him to be. He loves you so much. So until next time, bye.